Hello and welcome back to the Transform Awards Europe, where I'm delighted to be joined by Gilmar Vent, who is the founder and CEO of GW+Co. Now, you guys have been shortlisted in two projects tonight across two categories. But perhaps first of all, you could tell me a little bit about your agency and your approach to branding.
Thank you. Great to be here. So the first thing to say is we're in B2B, not B2C, and that's a big difference because in B2B, the sales cycles are very long. The customer relationships are owned by sales. So if you do branding in B2B and you haven't got sales on board, you're already doomed. What we have done in response to that is developed a methodology that we call collaborative design, where we bring sales, branding, marketing, and strategy together to create one solution. And that has the benefit that it's owned by a multitude of functions, it works across function and gets you greater buy-in.
Well, that's very interesting. And maybe you could tell me a little bit about some of the biggest misconceptions clients have about branding in your experience.
We always talk about, oh, we have too many silos, we need to break up silo. Branding can be the biggest silo of them all, when it really shouldn't be. So one of the misconceptions, oh, branding is for the marketing team. I've just said, in B2B, that's not the case. It can't be the case. So you have to think across the functions and therefore don't just delegate it to one team to do it in isolation. If you can get out of that, you've got a much better chance of making a meaningful impact.
And of course, GW+Co are a massive global agency. Perhaps you could tell me, well, I definitely say they are. Could you tell me a little bit about what success looks like to you?
Sorry, we're not. We work across the globe, yes. Success is defined by what the clients do because they really do the work and we facilitate it. So I'll give you an example. We finished a project, a year-long transformation about identity, not even branding, with a large engineering-based business yesterday. We had a cross-functional team out of head of people, head of product, head of strategy, and head of comms. They dedicated half an hour every week to this project. And in the end, what we often do, we do a round and say, so what were the highlights? What was interesting is the head of people says the speed and pace of decision making. The head of product says the creativity of our engineers. The head of strategy says the roundness of it all and that we've got something that really will stand them in good stead going forward. And the head of comms loves both the verbalization and the visualization of what they stand for. So here you got that in a project team. If those four people with very different responsibilities say those things together, you can see they have created something. And that for me is success. They also complemented each other on the way they work together. And I think that's a great testament to it. And to some degree, to the collaborative design approach.
Fantastic. And of course, you've been shortlisted with two projects for tonight. That's Nidec and Alcea.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about these projects?
Yes, I'll start with Alcea. Very interesting case because shall we say, a somewhat controversial strategic decision by the top of the business that needed the buy-in of the leadership across the globe. So we did a collaborative design approach with sales leaders and country leaders from all over the world coming on that journey together to create the positioning. And the result in the end was where there was a lot of skepticism at the end when they launched, they were all wearing the t-shirt with pride. So I think that was a wonderful thing to see, that transformation in people and how some people said they learned so much in the process. With Nidec is a serial acquirer who are now on a drive to make the mother brand a bigger brand. And so what we had to do here was to go to very decentralized, autonomous 21 divisions and convince them to all come together under one brand, which again was a joyous, you can imagine not always easy project, but we succeeded. And there's been the transformation is not just on the visual side, it's also how people see it now. And we're working with them again on the next step. And that's really quite exciting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And it'd be fascinating to see how those projects get on tonight. Just finally, could you tell me a little bit about what motivates you most on a personal level in the branding industry?
I've been on a journey myself from typography to storytelling to branding and now much more transformation really. And the thing that keeps me enjoying this is the impact that we can have in the organizations that we have. And what's so interesting about this, I used to have the branding lens, where you would do beautiful things and the people you would work with were very, very proud of it. And a lot of people in the business would say, how much was that? Couldn't we have saved some jobs? So it didn't really land all across, no matter how many awards you won. I've done the consultancy thing where you work on all the solutions and you give it to the client and they say, I don't quite know how to handle this. And either you get a long contract, which is nice, but it's kind of not the point. So that what keeps me motivated is to develop whatever the solution is from within the client, with the client, and to facilitate that and to guide that. That's incredibly rewarding.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Gilmar. It'll be fascinating to see how GW+Co get on tonight at the Transform Awards Europe.